It was a French writer in 1849 who wrote in French, but then if you translate it into English, it means the more things change, the more they remain the same. I mentioned yesterday that within the Albanese government, and indeed Labor governments across Australia, there is now an unstated realisation that this net zero nonsense is leading them into a real economic and energy crisis. Now, remember, Bowen says to reduce emissions by 43%. That's carbon dioxide, not carbon, but they're frightened to mention carbon dioxide because of people like me who keep reminding everybody it's 0.04% of the atmosphere. Tell that to anyone, they think you're stupid. We're trying to reduce that. Anyway, Bowen says to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by 43% by 2030, we would have to install 22,500-watt solar panels every day for 8 years. The bloke's stupid. 47-megawatt wind turbines every month. Bowen needs some treatment, I think. I've said from the outset it's idiocy and it's unattainable. So now, what they're telling us? Oh, things are going to get worse, they say, before they get better. There'll be an intergenerational report tomorrow. Oh, watch the headlines. Grim headlines everywhere. Welcome to the age of softer economic growth, they'll say, for decades. Productivity will decline, and that'll lead to a lowering of living standards for Australians. Well, if we keep going the way Bowen and co are going, it will. We are already facing the worst cost of living crisis in decades. The chickens are coming home to roost. As I've said many times, you reduce the cost of energy and you increase the cost of energy and Australia loses its competitive advantage. Because energy prices, if they go up, productivity and your standard of living must go down. Let's face it, the Australian household, you listening to me, watching me there, have finite resources, just the weekly pay packet. Now, the cost of energy feeds into everything. This desk I'm sitting at was brought in by a truck. Fuel costs go up, so does the cost of the desk. Your groceries didn't just lob on the supermarket shelf, they came via transports. Powered by energy, the energy price goes up dramatically, so does the price on the supermarket shelves. We are facing the early consequences of a disgraceful, damaging and delusional energy policy. Now we see the City of Sydney, the latest council to call for a ban on gas cooktops. I mean, these people could not submit to questioning on the rationale for what they're doing. Ban new gas cooktops, ovens, gas heaters. And the justification is some ridiculous nonsense about indoor air quality. Oh, why didn't we die long ago because of the air quality? What are these people talking about? The end result of this is that commercial kitchens in the City of Sydney could be forced to work without gas stoves to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. It's the same story, just a different chapter. Switch to electric-only connections. Where, you government dopes, do you think the electricity comes from? Coal-fired power, which you also want to eliminate. Restaurateurs are talking about induction stoves. That's electric. The overwhelming source of our energy today, as I speak to you, is coal-fired power. Reality is starting to hit some of these ideologically imprisoned politicians. In New South Wales, the government's energy or electricity network review has raised concerns about whether the agency charged with delivering New South Wales's multi-billion-dollar renewable energy zones is capable of doing the job. As I said yesterday, someone in the Minns government is a wake-up. It's now looking to extend the life of Australia's largest coal-fired power station, Eraring, beyond its expected closure date of August 2025. Now, much of this stuff has been inherited from a Liberal coalition government like Keen's renewable energy zones. Now, the Minns government has written advice that the size of the infrastructure program needed to deliver these zones presents, quote, a significant risk. We are swimming in coal and gas, but we don't want them. The capital costs for the zones are estimated to be over $9 billion, 9,000 million, and you can bet your life that's a conservative estimate, in a state which already has $115 billion of debt. But the left-wing net zero emissions activists are now after Chris Minns, saying his economic and environmental credentials are under siege because he wants to extend the life of Australia's largest coal-fired power station. I warned that the collision was coming between this so-called clean energy transition, which it's not, that's just a euphemism for getting rid of coal and gas, So that's the theory. Now it's colliding with reality. All over Australia, wherever you're watching, high energy prices and unreliable supply are here. The Albanese and Bowen dream, proclaimed around the world, is becoming an energy nightmare, net zero emissions. In fact, Chris Minns, the new Premier of New South Wales, is under pressure to stop local councils from banning gas. Can you believe this? In new homes and businesses. We've gone off our heads here. Well, Chris Minns should ban them. Some politician, some leader is going to have to get ahead of the curve and openly reject net zero policies. Come on, Peter Dutton, where are you? Get in the ring and fight. You'll be proven right. Paul Kelly, one of our most formidable political observers, rightly tells us today that we're locked into economic underperformance. He said, talk about stagnant living standards, right? Weak wages, rising costs. And then this, quote, the nation excels in mining, resources, agriculture, finance. 6 products make up 60% of our exports, he said. 6 products, 60%. Coal, iron ore, natural gas, education, gold and wheat. All of them are under attack from the ideologists, except education, which continues to be an almost worthless product. More of that later. But the biggest change this country needs, I'm telling you right now, is an attitudinal change.